All right, we did a little rock cutting today. Got some over here, looking really nice. We've got some more down over here. These are all rocks that I could fit on my saw, which is this guy here. It's Harbor Freight Special Chicago electric tile saw, 7-inch blade. And these are all rocks we picked up the other day when we were down at the rock pit playing on the rock pile. So let's take them inside and check them out. We'll start with this one here. It actually ended up kind of turning into a geode, which is really cool. It's got really nice cavity in there, lots of crystal. This rock actually was really easy to cut. This more kind of quartzy material is a lot less dense, I guess, and obviously there's a big void in the middle, so there was a lot of material in here I didn't have to cut through. But on the top there's this vein right here, and I wanted to try and keep that on the surface of the rock, which is why I chose to cut over here where I did. And honestly, I'm really glad that I did choose that, because now I've got this really big, you know, open cavity in here. It looks really cool. Really neat. This is another one here that I'm really happy with. It looks really cool. Got a lot of cool colors and patterns and stuff in there. It looks really cool when it's backlit. Super neat looking. And this rock I only cut in half. This one wasn't really big enough for me to kind of slab into smaller chunks, so I just split it right down the middle, but it turned out really nicely, and I'm super happy with it too. That is super cool. What a neat looking pattern. And this one here was really interesting. It's got all this like host rock on the top, and then all this sort of chalcedony, and on the bottom, host rock on the bottom too, and then all this chalcedony in the middle, and you could really see that. But this was the first chunk I cut off just to kind of square the rock up. It's still got pretty much the full edge on it. And then these three, I think there's another chunk of it somewhere. These three I cut the end off just to square it up, and then this one I cut this end off too, so it'll stand by itself. But they actually turned out really cool, and they look a lot better than I was expecting. And you can see a lot of those patterns in there. Hopefully that shows up on the camera. It looks really cool. This one's got a little cavity in there too. Really neat how that turned out. And even this one, obviously it's a little thicker, so the light doesn't pass through quite as well, but it does look really cool. So I'm excited to get these polished up and see what they end up looking like. And here's another one. We got a bunch of pieces out of this one. Instead of going long ways, I obviously decided to go crossways and make a bunch of smaller chunks, because this one also has a lot of the host rock, and so I wanted to get kind of some cool cross sections of that. And this one actually does glow a little bit too. It's got a lot of light that passes through there, so that's really cool. And I'm super happy with that one. This is even a thicker chunk. Let's look at a thinner one. This one's really thin. And that looks super cool. All that light going through there. All that light passing through, that just looks really neat. And this chunk, I'm probably going to, I think I might just tumble polish this one. It's a good size. Got a lot of round bits on it, so it should tumble pretty nicely. But the rest of them, I mean, these turned out super cool. You can see different patterns and things in there. That's just really neat. This turned out so much better than I was expecting. I'm super happy about it. We've got this one. I'm not 100% sure what this type of material is. It's definitely chalcedony, but it's not. It doesn't have. You can get a little bit of light that'll pass through, and that looks really cool. But not a whole lot. So I'm not sure what this one was. After I cut it open, it honestly didn't. It didn't look quite as cool as I was hoping it would, but it still looks pretty neat. A little bit of a saw gouge right in here, and then this chunk right here chipped off. But this one I might try and polish with the drill press. I might cut it into some other shapes, cut it down a little smaller. And this one, just like one of the chunks from the last one, I think I'm just going to throw in the tumblers, because you know, just the normal surface of the rock is already really smooth. So I think it would look really, really cool after it gets polished in the tumblers. This one here I was really debating on cutting or just leaving alone. It's got really cool coloring on the edges. This side, the uncut side, you can see all that crystal. This is a pretty fresh break in this rock, and but you can barely see those fortification lines coming through. So I wanted to really try and highlight some of those when I cut this, and man, it did not disappoint. I mean, this chunk is so thin that light is almost too bright. Just see behind it. Let's try this one. Yeah, even still, that's a little bit better. You can really see all those cool lines in there. I'm super happy with how it turned out. Even this one too. All those lines. I wonder if it's a little thicker, so it might. But obviously got a lot of really nice translucence to it. Super clear. Light passes through really easily. Not 100% sure what I'm going to do with these. This one I think I might throw in the tumblers too, just because it's kind of the heel piece. But this other, I guess you could call heel's got all that crystal on it, so I'd like to leave it pretty well alone. But they turned out super awesome. All those really cool looking lines in there. And this one, this side of it is kind of where the crystal stops. And if you flip it over, you can see it's still there just a little bit. You're not getting quite as much of that translucence coming through there, but and even the color shift up here where it goes from white to yellow into the red at the top, it's really cool, and it's still super clear. So I was really happy with how this one turned out. I had a couple of chunks of jasper that I wanted to cut, but they weren't they kind of fell apart as I was cutting them. So this one is from the same chunk, and it's really cool. You can see the agate banding in there. In through here, it's so strange. It's just like a window. It looks really, really cool. The other side looks good too. This is, I don't know, this might be one that I tumble. It might not, because it's also got a clear coating up here too on top. But it's got, you know, kind of an agate coating up on top here, with some veins that then sneak around and turn into this big river under here. It looks like one of those tables that they burn like little river patterns into and then fill them up with epoxy resin. That looks really, really cool. This chunk too, like I said, from the same rock, definitely has that agate banding up top. And even goes up into here, wraps around, and this one has a lot more crystals on top. And so, yeah, I purposefully cut this one to where I could preserve all those too. But it looks just like it's a layer. Like it literally just grew on top, because, I mean, you can totally see where the rock is and then the crystal layer on top, which is really weird. It looks like it just like was floating along and then stuck to it or something. And this side has got, it's got all these little bumps in here, and it looks like they kind of make their way inside the rock, but all in all, looks really cool. I don't know what I'm going to do with these because I don't want to chip any of this stuff off or grind any of it off either with the grit and the tumblers, so they might just get a drill press polish, and we'll see how they turn out. This last chunk of jasper here is probably the last one that's worth showing. It's already on this backside, just normally is really nice and smooth. So I think it'll be a tumble rock. I cut this down here just, I think, to make one of the other pieces a little bit straighter. And this one definitely really broke apart quite a bit, unfortunately, while I was cutting it. I think the tile saws might be a little too fast and for cutting some of this stuff. Plus, you know, there were a lot of noticeable fractures just on the rock itself before I started cutting it. But this chunk actually turned out pretty well. I think if it wasn't sitting on a towel, it would stand up by itself, which is really cool. Last but not least, we've got this agate here. It was together like this, and then this was the bottom bit, so it was like that. I cut the bottom off to have a flat surface, and this piece looks really cool. I kind of wanted to see what it looked like on the inside, and you've got just a little bit of those water lines coming in there. And so after I cut that off, I saw that, and basically to get the two biggest pieces I could, then I cut down through the center. I'll have to grind a little bit more right there where the saw couldn't grab, but really, really neat looking on the inside. I don't know if you'd call this waterline or what. You can even see a little fortification line right there at the top. It looks really, really cool. I'm super happy with how this one turned out. And it's interesting too, because all of that iron coloring really is just surface level, and you've got all these lines in here, but it's like, and there's even a little bit of crystal in this line too. You can see where they match up. But it's interesting because it looks like the middle part formed first. Either that, or I didn't see any holes where stuff might have been getting in. I guess there is a little bit of iron coloring right here, but then that's where it stopped because it didn't continue through the rest of the rock. Really interesting. But overall, really happy with how a lot of these turned out. If it'll focus, yeah, you can really see how cool all those lines look. All those neat patterns in there. Of course, it just glows like crazy, like a lot of these ones around here do. This chunk is actually a little bit bigger. Man, that is super cool. Super stoked about that. And that's about it for my cutting session today. The weather is pretty nice out today, but it's still only about 45, 46 degrees, so it's a little chilly to be spraying water all over yourself. I've got a few pretty cool rocks cut, and I'm super happy that I was able to find some to cut on my little saw. So if you guys like this video and like the saw cutting stuff, or you're more curious about how I cut rocks on such a cheap saw to make them look halfway decent, let me know. Give this video a big old thumbs up if you don't mind, and hopefully we'll catch you on our next video.